A few videos ago, we had a discussion about how drugstore makeup has been getting more expensive lately. And in the comments of that video, a lot of you shared that you've been exploring more mid-range makeup brands because of this, and how you'd be interested in me trying these types of brands on my channel. These would be brands with products priced between drugstore and high-end, but the quality is definitely elevated. And one brand that was recommended that I try that I think fits into this category is Kaleidos makeup. Kaleidos is a cruelty-free vegan indie beauty brand, Asian owned. It was actually started by a beauty blogger named Zoe Poo in 2017. So in the grand scheme of things, they're still a pretty new brand. They sell their makeup online on the brand's website, but some of their products are also available in stores and online in Urban Outfitters across the US and Canada. So let's dive in. I have so much makeup from Kaleidos to play with today. But first, if you're new here, hi, my name is Miranda. This channel is dedicated to budget beauty. If that sounds like your vibe, hit subscribe. Okay, we have so many eyeshadow options today. It's actually kind of overwhelming, but first step is primer. So this is the Kaleidos Tone Activating Eye Primer. It's only $10, which I think is on par with a lot of eye primers we see at the drugstore. Plus, this is water resistant. It also says it prevents smudging, prevents creasing, and makes colors pop. Ooh, okay, definitely squeezed too much out of the tube, but it is sort of a tan peachy shade and it feels very thin and liquidy. Yeah, definitely don't need as much as I dispensed. For sure, a thinner formula than say the Milani eyeshadow primer, which is a bit more creamy. It's still very easy to spread out and blend, and it's definitely giving me a very even base for my eyeshadow. Yeah, I have so much product left over. So for $10, I feel like this tube is gonna last a while considering you need less than a pea-sized amount for both eyes. I'm gonna also prime under my lower lash line. All right, like I said, I have so much eyeshadow and not enough lid space to try it all, although I will swatch everything, so even if I don't put it on my face, you'll be able to see what it looks like. First, they sent me 2 of their quad palettes. Now, these are $22 each. However, I have already dipped into these just to do swatches, and oh my gosh, the quality. But I'm getting ahead of myself. So this first one is in Venus Trap. So this is a cool tone grayish color story with a silver pressed glitter that is so stunning and also very easy to apply with the fingers. Just from my swatches, I have not put it on my face yet. And these mattes, oh my gosh, these mattes are so velvety and buttery and pigmented. And the second quad that I have is called Twilight Rush, which is a gray and purple color story. And this one has 2 shimmer shades in it. They're definitely more shimmers versus the pressed glitter in the other quad. And again, the formula's shockingly soft. The shimmers were so stunning. And can we take a minute to appreciate the packaging? Because this is quilted and embroidered. So you really are getting the full experience. Like I said, these are $22. However, I do have a full-size palette. So this is the Escape Pod palette. This is $42, but you're getting way more shades, and this color story is intense. Like, I opened this for the first time and my eyes were crossing with how bright and beautiful it is. And I love that there's such a balance between shimmers and mattes in this palette. So again, $42 for 15 shades, definitely more than at the drugstore, but I think this is also very different than what we're getting at the drugstore. And like I said, the quality is really good. I feel like we're gonna have to go colorful today just to really demonstrate the quality and intensity of these shadows. I'm gonna lay down Lo-Fi as my base shade. It is a little squeaky though. I need to use this flamingo color, beautiful hot pink, and I'm gonna be putting that in and above my crease. Wow, that is a lot of color and I barely dusted this on my eyelid. Okay, I'm gonna need to work very carefully just because, frankly, I don't know if I'm used to having this much pigment. That is intense. I mean, if I wasn't going all out before I put this color down, I certainly am now. Even as I blend it out, it's maintaining its intensity and pigmentation. Like, I'm blending it and it's spreading and it's blending out beautifully and softly. I'm not losing any of that color. And I actually do want to kind of blend it to be softer. So I'm just gonna take a clean brush so that I can get these edges. I swatched these, but I still just didn't really appreciate the level of color payoff. Using the same brush, I'm going into Mardi Gras, which is a rich kind of grape purple. I'm gonna put that in my outer corner, and I think I am gonna go for a halo eye and also put it in the inner corner as well. I gotta say, these colors look exactly like they do on the skin as they do in the palette. No surprises. Let me get this in the inner corner as well. Yeah, these shades are just melting together so beautifully. Let me zoom you in just a little bit more. I'm gonna just bring the pink down onto my lower lash line a bit. Okay, I'm kind of dying to dip into one of these greens. If there's a green shade in a palette, I'm just so gravitated toward it because I do feel that that's very unique to palettes that are being, released lately. It looks like Galactic Gala is a bit more neon and Saturnalia has more of, I don't know, like a money green shift to it. I think Galactic Gala will match what we have going on already. I'm just going to pat it in the middle with my fingers. Again, I swatched these, but I just didn't realize how insane they would look on the eyes and how much this is still retaining its like boldness over darker shadow shades, Super soft, super smooth, super shimmery. I'm just gonna drag that shimmer a little bit from the middle into the corners without covering the purple completely. Oh, I love this color combination. Is this just gonna be like 20 minutes straight of me being stunned into silence? I will say I don't think I've ever tried anything up to par with this at the drugstore. Honestly, my only critique is that these shades get pretty messy inside the palette, so I'm just gonna wipe off some of this dust. Moving on to the product I think I was the most excited to put on my face after I swatched them. These are the Kaleidos Epiphany Glow Melt Eyeliners. Some of these are shimmery, some of them are metallic, and some of them are multi-chromes. As you can see from the swatches, these eyeliners just pop off the skin. They are so intense. They're also incredibly smooth. They glide on the skin, no tugging at all. But the most impressive part about these liners is that they are totally waterproof and smudge proof. So I did spray them with some water and I did a little rub-a-dub-dub test and they did not budge. However, they are easy to remove with micellar water, which is how I got the swatches off my arm in just like 2 swipes. These are $16 each, which I think is more than fair considering their appearance and their performance, but you can also buy them in a 6-pack bundle for $76, which makes them less than $13 each. So I knew that I had to try this Tourmaline shade, which is one of the multi-chromes. My stomach literally dropped when I swatched this. However, I feel like on its own, it might get a little lost among my eyeshadow look, so I want to layer this on top of black. Because with multi-chromes, just a tip, layering them on top of black often makes them look more intense. I'm going to use the Milani Stay Put liquid eyeliner, and I think I'm going to do a pretty thick wing just so that there's space to really let this multi-chrome shade pop. Yeah, that's perfect. Can we replicate it on the other side? Yes or no? Vote in the comments. Now that I'm getting kind of like up close and personal, I'm seeing a little bit of fallout from the green shimmer shadow shade. It's not insane, but it's there. Okay, I think that's as good as it's gonna get. I completely recognize that this is going a little higher, but it is what it is. Okay, got you a little closer so you can really see this glide on. I mean, oh my gosh. See how that shifts from like gold and green to pink? Should I make it like fade into the black just so that it doesn't get totally lost? Maybe that's what I'll do. I'll take my brush and just sort of lightly blend it up into the point. That's interesting. I think in any other circumstance, if I wasn't, filming and testing out this brand, this liner would definitely be the statement of my eye look, and I wouldn't necessarily layer it on top of such a colorful eyeshadow look because it really deserves to have a moment. I need like an eyeshadow stick from Kaleidos in this exact shade. That is what I need in my life. It's almost like a shortcut graphic liner look. I'm gonna put the eyeliner on my lower lash line as well in the center. Yes, very cool. I like that. Today I'm using the Lash Without Limits mascara from Essence. I went to the Las Vegas Renaissance Fair a few weeks ago, and I really wish that I had had this makeup because I feel like I could have done this really beautiful like ethereal fairy look or something. That is what it's giving me, just like otherworldly fairy creature. Which also begs the question, how did the Renaissance Fair become the fantasy fair? You know what I mean? Because a lot of people just go in more of like a fantasy theme versus the actual Renaissance time period. Hey, I'm not mad at it though, because it is so fun. I feel like I need to tightline my upper waterline, so I'll do that quickly. Just makes the lashes look a bit thicker at the base. Okay, I love how this eye look came out, and I think that these shades and the textures and the color payoff is definitely elevated from what I am seeing at the drugstore lately. I think one brand that comes close is ColourPop. Very similar type of products. I know that they have their own multi-chrome eyeliner that I have swatched in stores, and it's beautiful. It's budge proof. It would be interesting to swatch them side by side or test them side by side, but I kind of think Kaleidos might win out on the eyeshadow formula just because these mattes are so intense. Why don't we do a little comparison? Okay, from Kaleidos, I'm gonna swatch this Carnival shade from the Escape Pod palette. And I found a similar one in the ColourPop Lost in Love palette. This shade is called Amorous. It is also a matte. I know they're not gonna be the exact same shade, but I just wanna feel them. So this one is Carnival from Kaleidos. I mean, so much color. And then we have Amorous. And just like feeling the texture underneath my fingers, the ColourPop matte is soft, but it's just, I don't know, it's not as smooth maybe. Here's ColourPop. Still a decent color payoff. I mean, definitely nothing to scoff at. So that's Kaleidos, that is ColourPop. Again, they are different shades. That's not what I'm judging here. I do feel like the Kaleidos shade was just a bit softer. Let's do one more comparison. So I'm gonna swatch Exoplanet from the Kaleidos palette versus Lagoon from the Blue Velvet ColourPop palette. Ooh, that one you can really see the difference. Ooh, let me go in with a second layer. That could have been my fault. I don't think it was my fault. Yeah, that one just went on much sheerer than Kaleidos did in one swipe. But is ColourPop gonna be the better value at the end of the day and fit into your budget better for what you get? That's a question that you have to answer for yourself, but I'd love to know your thoughts in the comments. Let's move on to the face. So I have the Kaleidos Symphony Contour Trio. This is a $25 contour palette. Now this personally would be above what I would pay for a contour product only because I don't really use contour palettes like this anymore because they used to be so popular in like 2014 to 16, but I always found myself using the same shade in the palette and not really touching the other colors. But if you are a person who likes palettes like these and you do utilize all the shades, then maybe that's worth it to you. For me, I don't know if I would necessarily spend the 25 on it, but let's give it a shot because it is a cooler toned contour, which I appreciate because whether we use the word contour or bronzer at the drugstore, they're practically always warm. I'm gonna use my Sigma Soft Angled Cheek Brush. Remember, you can use the code SLASHEDBEAUTY for a discount at Sigma. I'm dipping straight into this middle shade, which is just a cool brown. Let's see what it looks like. Oh yeah, that's really cool on my skin tone. I'm almost not used to seeing myself now with a cool contour because I've just gotten accustomed to whatever the heck shades we're getting at the drugstore. It's all bronzer now, you know? It's like we're using bronzer and contour interchangeably. And I pretty much am sure that I rant about this maybe once every 10 videos, so forgive me, but it's a thing. Yeah, okay. But you see, when you get a cool contour, you really end up getting that sculpt that I just don't think warm contours give as well. I'll dip into the slightly warmer brown. It's still kind of on the neutral side though. And use that on the forehead and the hairline. Ooh, yeah, I like that because it's bronzing without making me orange. So you know what? This might be worth it if you are very cool toned or you're just on that perpetual search for actual cool toned face products and you can't seem to find them, sometimes being able to find exactly what you're looking for is definitely worth it. Even this bronzer, it's like it was made for my skin tone. I'm into it, very into it. Let's move on to blush. So Kaleidos has these mono blushes. They are $18 per compact. Again, they are in these beautiful upholstered compacts, and a few of them actually have like lace fabric over them. I know in that previous video when I was talking about makeup prices, I had said that I'm not really interested in paying a premium for cuter packaging. However, with these products, it seems like the price is correlating more to the quality and the packaging is more of a cherry on top. That's just how I'm seeing it right now because the quality is just so good. They do have some really interesting blush shades too that I don't really see a lot from mainstream brands. There are a few that are like taupey that I think probably could also be used as a bronzer or a contour, but they're just unique and they stood out to me, although I don't think I could use them as a blush because they kind of matched my skin tone almost. I feel like we're gonna need to go with this bright pink. It just sort of matches the color palette we already have on. This one is in the shade, oh, they're not labeled? Wait a second. Some of these have labels on the back, but the lace ones do not. Okay, I found it on the website. This one is called Dream Walk. Oh, that is very powdery. Okay, so for as pigmented as a lot of these powder products are, they're messy. I'm gonna say that. Like that is a lot of kick up for sure. Oh, it's much more subtle, but beautiful on the skin. Okay, this is a good shade for the eye look we have going on. It's certainly not as like candy pink as I thought it would be, almost neon. It's buildable though, but I was afraid that this was gonna be as intense as the eyeshadows and I was gonna really need to go in with a lighter hand, but this seems like you can kind of customize how much color you want out of it. It is starting out pretty soft, but it's also blending really nicely. The only thing with buildable blushes like these is that I tend to get blush blindness because I'm like, no, I want more color. And then suddenly I've built it up to be just insane. I think we're there. So these blushes are $18 and I gotta say they look so smooth on the skin, especially because I have a lot of texture in this area. It does not accentuate it at all. It does not make my skin look dry. So really nice soft powder formula. Definitely more of a fine powder, which I mean, you can kind of see in how dusty it gets, but it also makes it very smooth looking. When I shared on my Instagram stories that I was thinking about doing a YouTube video about Kaleidos makeup, I got several DMs saying that I had to try their highlighters. Now, when I swatched these, I understood immediately. However, there are two different types of highlighters from this brand and there's quite a big price difference. So I have two shades in their original Space Age highlighter formula. These are only $14, which I think is on par with what we see at the drugstore recently. However, they also have the Space Age multi-chrome highlighters and these are $36. So more than double the amount of their normal formula, but I will show you the difference. The regular Space Age highlighters are gorgeous, they're shimmery, they're intense, but there's really no shift to them. With the multi-chrome highlighter though, not only does this go on more opaque and almost more metallic, but you do get that shift. You do get those colors changing depending on how they catch the light. But is it worth a $22 difference? That's the question, because it is beautiful and I don't think I've seen a multi-chrome highlight this intense before, but $36 for one highlight is definitely in high-end territory now, but it is very unique and it's a treat yourself type of product. So you tell me. Now I also wanted to show you swatches of these over a black base. So I swatched these again over the Moira liquid pigment and you can definitely see that the original Space Age formula comes out a lot more. You get more of that metallic look. So you could use these on the eyes as well. Definitely a double duty product. The multi-chrome also looks beautiful over black, just a little bit more intense. But I do want to put the multi-chrome on my face today because we have to. Now there are a few multi-chrome shades. This one specifically is called Prophecy. Ooh, oh, okay. So brush application, we are getting a lot more of a shimmery vibe and literally just tapping at it with my fingers, it kind of makes it more solid looking. So I think I do actually prefer finger application for this formula. Unless, I mean, you could totally use this as a body shimmer as well with a brush. I just think it's kind of spreading the shimmer out a little bit more than I want to for a highlight look. This could have been the wrong brush to use as well. Let me just tap in. Yeah, because look how solid it looks when I just pick it up with my fingers. This brand just does multi-chrome so well. I turned down the lights so that hopefully you can kind of see more of how this shifts. It's so hard to grab multi-chromes on camera. The thing is this one, now that it's on my face, it is also very glitter forward. There's not like a pigment base behind it. And because I've kept it a little bit on the subtle side, I'm not sure if subtle is in the vocabulary of this brand, but you know, I'm not packing it on to be solid. I feel like I'm losing a little bit of the multi-chrome effect. And also in general, I'm not a huge fan of glitter highlights. It's kind of like a special occasion concert festival type vibe for me, but not something that I would wear on the daily. I prefer more solid, like beamy highlights, and that's not what this is giving. This is giving face glitter. So for me, it's beautiful. I think I would wear it more so on the eyes than the face, because then I would be able to like pack it into a solid layer and really get that effect. On the face, I don't know. I'm feeling a little bit lackluster toward it. So let's finish off this look with lips, and I do have a few options for this as well. So the brand sent me their lip clay set, which has their lip clay liquid lipsticks. These go for $12 each or $35 for this set. These are matte liquid lipsticks. I am kind of curious to see how they feel on the lips themselves, but they almost remind me a little bit of like the Tarte lip stick formula. What were those called? I forget. The Tarteist lip paints. That's what these remind me of. Do they even still make those? No, I think those are discontinued. So if you liked the Tarteist lip paints, you might like these. However, I also have multiple shades in their Untamed Glow Glossy Lip Glaze. These are lip glosses. These feel very cushy just as I swatch them. They have a lot of color behind them. Most of these are like creamy shades, but I do have 2 shimmers as well. What do I want to do? Maybe we do a little combo between the 2. Let's see if I even have a shade that'll match all this. Let's try Dune. It's kind of a cool tone nude. I get a lot of color even though I'm keeping the layer very thin, but it does look really smooth. Like this is smoothing out my lip lines, which is kind of crazy considering it's a matte. You know, this is pretty, but I do not think it matches what we have on the eyes. And all of the other shades are pretty warm as well. I think we're just gonna go for a gloss. But we had to try it. I mean, it feels weightless on the lips. It would be interesting to see how this does long-term throughout the day, but I really want to finish this look and have something that's cohesive. Okay, I'm gonna go with the lip glaze in Elixir, which looks like a pretty neutral shade. Ooh, okay, talk about your lips but better. This is the perfect neutral for me, like pink neutral. It almost matches my lip shade. So like buttery. Okay, I think I kind of over applied. I got a little excited. That feels great on the lips. Y'all know my lips are always super dry. What is in this? Limnanthus alba seed oil, jojoba seed oil, peony suffrocosa seed oil, and sunflower seed oil. I don't know what 2 of those are, but it feels great. This is also supposed to self-adjust to maintain shape and consistency after pressing lips, and stays cushiony and supple all day with minimal touch-ups needed. Now, obviously, it's a gloss, so it's gonna transfer. If you're eating and drinking, you're probably going to need to touch up. But what I think they're saying is that it's not gonna like settle. I mean, it looks really good on the lips. This is the perfect everyday gloss shade for me. Yeah, it does make my lips look really smooth. All right, y'all, that was my intro to Kaleidos makeup, and I gotta say, I'm impressed. The makeup is stunning, the quality is there, and I really don't think that the prices are that outrageous for what you get. There were only a few exceptions to that for me personally and my budget. One was definitely the highlight and probably the contour palette, although I'm a little on the fence with that as well because of how hard it is to find a truly cool contour palette these days. But that's exactly what I want to hear from you. What do you think about Kaleidos makeup and their prices? Have you tried them before? Are there other products I need to get my hands on? Tell me in the comments. Thanks so much for spending time with me today. If you want to keep watching, join me over in this video next where I try the new ColourPop collab that made me respect them more. I'll see you over there. Bye!